My name is Leo Spizzirri. I'm the master instructor of the North American Pizza and Culinary Academy in Chicago, Illinois. My official title is Mastro Istruttore. There's 5 styles of Italian pizza, and I went and I studied each one of those styles until individually I was able to achieve the master level. I've been making pizza in Chicago since I was a kid. Started very young age. And the thing that I loved always about Red Star, this was the same brand that my grandma was using, that my mother was using. And as I continued to grow throughout my career, it was still Red Star that we were using. At the end of the day, I couldn't have created this recipe for you without the help of Platinum Yeast from Red Star. Hi everybody, Leo Spizzirri from the North American Pizza and Culinary Academy. I'm the master instructor of Scuola Italiana Pizzaioli, and today what I'm going to be showing you is a fantastic formula to make grilled pizza. Let me get my ingredients all together. Again, we've got our olive oil, our sugar, our sea salt, our water, and then our platinum yeast. Now in my formula here, we're using water that's cold, because the way that I put this formula together, we're going to be using a method that's going to require us to divide our dough and then put it in the refrigerator overnight. These ingredients now are going to go into this bowl, but the easiest way that I can show you is by doing this by hand. Hand mixing is a great way to mix because you're going to be overworked before your dough is ever going to be overworked. I'm going to stick my hands in the bowl and I'm going to create a well inside of this flour, really just trying to build the walls up so that I've got enough room to add the water inside of here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of my water, I'm going to go right into this bowl. I'm going to use the best tool of all. I've got my hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the number 5. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to make the iron claw, turn it sideways, and all of a sudden I've got a great whisk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my fingers into the water and I'm going to gently start turning my fingers. So as I'm doing this, really what I'm trying to do is give the initial formation of the gluten. And this is a really important step because I feel that one of the big questions that I get here at the Academy always comes down to the structure of the dough and the way that that dough is created. And sometimes my dough doesn't rise, or sometimes my dough is very dense. And it's this one little step. It's so simple, but this is one of the pro tips, that we actually give this yeast enough time to get into this kind of batter that we're creating. As soon as flour and water touch, they're creating proteins, and this is really the stage that we start to create gluten. And at this point now, I can start kneading a little bit more aggressively. And all I'm doing is really just rotating my hand in a circular motion until we get to the point where this is starting to become an actual dough. As I'm lifting up, I can feel that gluten in my fingers. Those are the actual gluten strands. And this is really important to our development process because it's those gluten strands that are going to hold all of those beautiful air bubbles created by that platinum yeast. This is the perfect time for me to go ahead and add my sea salt in here. So now as I'm going through over here, I've got almost all of the flour incorporated. I want to wait until all of my flour is inside of the dough before I go to the next step, which is adding our olive oil. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add all of the olive oil into this mix. This is not fully mixed, so we have some work to do. And this is actually the beauty of kneading by hand. So as we're kneading, we want to use that motion like the airplane is taking off, right? And this is just really massaging the dough on the top of the surface. And then once I've got this to the point that we've created something that looks like a burrito, then I would turn this to the side and you can see here's that seam. So if we do this again, I'm going to push forward with my hands and then use my fingertips to roll the dough, maybe about a half to a third of the way back. And then I'm going to continue kneading and massaging the dough just like this, all right? And you can see with just very little work, look at how beautiful and smooth this dough has already become. And this is telling me right now that my dough is very, very close to where I want it. So my dough right now is done. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just kind of curling the ends into the bottom, okay? And then what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna take a bowl, I'm gonna take a little bit of oil, and I'm gonna coat the bottom of this bowl, just a little bit. If I take this and just turn this just like this, and I take my dough ball, right? The top of the dough ball, I'm gonna flip upside down into the oil, and then kind of just give this a turn inside of the bowl, and then flip it over. So our dough has gone through that 20 minutes of resting. I'm gonna very simply just take this dough out of the bowl. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna complete our mixing now. So what I'm gonna do again, I'm gonna push forward and I'm gonna start to massage this dough in the same movement that I did earlier. And you're gonna see that without a lot of action or movements at all, this dough is very smooth already. Look at how beautiful this dough has gotten. And all I'm doing is I'm gonna give this a couple minutes here. Maybe about a minute, minute and a half really is all I need. And the rest of that oil will be incorporated really nice inside of this dough. And this is at the perfect point right now to go ahead and divide the dough. So the easiest way I can teach you to make a dough ball is actually to start out by making a square. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a square where we've got 4 points right here. And then I'm gonna take these 4 points, I'm gonna bring 2 of them to the middle, and then I'm gonna take the 2 opposite points and bring them to the middle. And then we've got, again, another 4 points. So I'm gonna take these 2 sides, bring them to the middle. I'm gonna take the other 2 points and bring them to the middle. And then all of a sudden, this is starting to turn into a dough ball. So again, all I'm gonna do is continue to fold these middles in. And then once we have something that we can kind of grab at the top, almost like a change purse. This is what I'm looking for. Really bringing all of those seams and points to the middle. By doing this, now we've created this smooth exterior. And then with just very little work at all, there's our nice, beautiful dough ball. Now, the way we're gonna finish this and the way you're gonna store these is I'm gonna take each one of these dough balls, put them in their own individual container without any olive oil and without any flour. The dough is gonna sit in the refrigerator for about 24 hours, but at least overnight. When the dough is ready, after that 8 to 12 hours or up to 24 hours, we remove the containers from the refrigerator, put them on the counter, and let them sit out for 90 minutes. Hey everybody, welcome back. So today, I've got a beautiful day here in Chicago, a perfect day to be grilling pizzas. So I've got that dough that we made earlier here, and I'm gonna show you my technique on how to stretch the perfectly round pizza dough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little bit of olive oil, I'm gonna put it right on the back of a stainless steel bowl, just like this. And then this little bit of oil, I'm gonna spread it all around, and we're gonna make a surface that's nice and lubricated. All I have to do to make a nice round circle is just take this dough, place it right on top of the bowl, just like this, and very gently just push down. And you can see all of a sudden all of those beautiful bubbles that are popping up. And this is the benefit that you're gonna get from using that platinum yeast from Red Star. And this is gonna ensure that our dough is nice and uniform all the way across, because one of the things that I see very common is that people stretch the middle of the dough so thin that it usually tears. But in this method, we're actually stretching the sides of the dough, and the middle is gonna be perfectly intact. And when I take this off, all I have to do is really just peel the dough back, and then I'm gonna lay it back onto my surface, and you can see how easy it was to create this nice round circle. At this point, I'm gonna use my fingers, and I'm just gonna make some holes. We call this docking in the pizza business. This is gonna keep the dough from puffing up like a pita, and we don't want this to separate out. I want this to be all beautiful and bubbly. And because we didn't smash the dough with a rolling pin, all of these beautiful air bubbles have been retained inside of this dough, and we have a very beautiful base. My grill temperature that I'm aiming for is between 425 to 450. So all I have to do now, I'm gonna move the dough onto one hand, I'm gonna support it with my other hand, and now this is going to allow me to just take this dough, and then I'm gonna just lay the dough right into the center of the grill, and there's our perfect circle. I'm gonna take the grill lid and I'm gonna close it, because the idea being that I want some of that heat to circulate around the top of the pizza and ultimately creating enough heat to make those air bubbles pop up, and then they're gonna kind of skin over, they're gonna bake over so that they won't collapse down. This is one of the great things about using that platinum yeast from Red Star. Because of those dough enhancers, the dough is gonna open up and it's gonna become solid way before it ever has a chance to drop back down. You can see how beautiful these bubbles are. And what I'm gonna do before I turn this, I'm gonna check the bottom of the crust to make sure that my grill marks are exactly where I want them. I'm gonna lead in with the spatula side. I'm gonna come underneath this crust and then give this a lift. And then all I'm doing is just laying this back onto the grill. And now I've got the bubble side down. So all I'm looking for is just to get some of those really nice charred spots on the top of those bubbles. And this will be exactly where I want it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my crust off just like this, and then I'm gonna bring this here and flip it, and you'll be able to see how beautiful all those grill marks are right now. So if you're gonna be having a party, maybe a pizza party for your friends and family, you can do this step ahead of time so that when everybody arrives, all you're gonna have to do is just top the pizzas, put them on the grill, and then have a lot of fun. Okay, we have all our ingredients ready to go, and just looking at this beautiful crust and all those bubbles, I'm really excited to see how this is gonna turn out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to make my version of the perfect sausage pizza. All the ingredients are gonna be available in the recipe if you go to redstaryeast.com/platinum. So make sure you check out for all the details on this recipe. This pizza is ready to go onto the grill right on top of my stone. I'm gonna use a pizza peel to help me transfer this. My stone I can already feel is good and hot, and all I'm gonna do is just transfer the pizza directly onto the peel, and then from here, I'm gonna go right onto my stone. Now, it's really important that the grill lid stays closed because we need that circulating hot air on top to help melt the cheese. The pizza stone is gonna give us a really consistent brown colored base, and it's gonna be very crispy. This will probably take maybe about 6 to 8 minutes to get us to the perfect point. So we're gonna let this bake, and we're gonna come back just in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and open up the grill and see how we did. Oh, this is beautiful. And everything I'm looking for here is this beautiful, nice golden brown crust. And I'm gonna transfer this pizza right on top of my cooling rack while this is getting finished, because we're not done yet. So there you have our beautiful grilled sausage and ricotta pizza. The beautiful thing about this pizza that I love the most, if we did this the right way, look at this beautiful cheese pull, and look at how beautiful and crispy and rigid that crust is. To me, this says summer, and this is what it's all about.